Out of the Draglands.
Alrighty, we are back again for Out of the Draglands episode 5, I think. Right?
Join the
5?
dark side.
It's 5, right?
It's 5.
Yeah. Are y'all sick of this shit yet? So yeah, this episode is Join the Dark Side. I'm Yayah, the artist. I am a contestant on season 2 of Into the Draglands.
I'm Roselia Valentine. I'm currently the front runner on Into the Draglands season 2.
Oh, okay.
Well, so far.
One of them. For now.
We'll get to the end of the episode. No spoilers.
Anyways, we're going to shut the fuck up and just get into it.
We do get a trigger warning at the beginning of this episode to warn the audience that there is some content that may be disturbing, so viewer discretion is advised. And they said that because the first performer is Arya Gunna. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my goodness. You can't say that.
I'm teasing.
No, we love Arya Gunna. We really do. Here's my feel about this number. I liked it. If I saw this in the club, I would have liked it. But in terms of criteria, it did not hit the criteria. And so at the end of the day, like, she missed the mark pretty big time.
Well,
my other negative note is, and Helen says it, is the lip sync was a little wonk. But, you know.
Damn, Yayah, you just started off so harshly. Well,
that was absolutely
you just said,
not harsh.
You said, Arya, I hated your number.
I did not hate the number. I literally said, I like the number. Are you not listening?
I could read between the lines.
I literally said I like the number.
I could hear between the lines.
It was good.
It was good, but you're right. And Katana says it too, that this is a good club number. It's not extraordinarily sinister or dark-sided per se. And it is a good performance, but there were some technicalities that were a little lacking. As you mentioned, the lip sync wasn't perfect, and the energy at some points were really punchy, but then it kind of fizzled out at some points. They were maybe at 70%. I could see the foundation of the moves that Arya wanted to do in this number were there, but they just weren't exploding as much as she needed to. When we get into the judges' critiques, there was one that Katana said that really resonated with me. It's clear that for this challenge, we are going to see a lot of rock and dark-sided kind of music. And Katana mentions that, with Paramore's Misery Business, pop punk doesn't necessarily scream sinister.
Yeah, I think there's nothing sinister about Paramore.
But you know what? This song is hard. I'm trying to learn it for bingo this weekend, and this song is kicking my ass.
It's not that hard.
It's a little hard. I mean,
you're a drag queen. We're drag performers. Know your words. Learn the song.
In Arya's defense, I don't know what the hell Hayley Williams is trying to say.
Okay, people are gonna come for you because the syntax, that song is iconic.
No, the song is iconic, sure, but does iconic mean good?
Okay, I want to move on to the next performer.
Well,
piss me off. Mercury Rising says the look is not dirty enough, which I agree. It was like kind of punky, but it just felt she put on an outfit and was like, I'm a rock chick. I
do like the little callback to Faye Menon with the shit show shirt that Arya's wearing. Cute little call out. I did like the tartan moment, the plaid dress that I guess like jacket cape thingy
vest.
Is it a vest?
I don't know.
It had like a train. It was cool. It was cool.
I would not use the word train to describe that, but
it had a little flair to it. Maybe a cape. But I do think that maybe Arya was hoping the costume was more punky than it was, and chains and chokers does not necessarily a punk look make, but I could see where she was going. It just wasn't fully at its destination that it needed to be for this number.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on. Who's next?
Wow, someone has things to do. Moving on, we have Miss Elena Roberts, also known as Elena Roberts.
I really liked this number, but I also had some issues with it. It comes from a place of love, and I hope they can feel that. With that being said,
I like that we start off with Elena explaining that she is doing a witch look. A witch could definitely be sinister. And there are so many archetypes of witches out there.
Archetypes.
Archetypes. Sorry. Yeah.
Right?
Archetype. Yeah, no, I think you're right.
I think
You're
that's right.
Sorry. Little English lesson for the day.
Sorry.
Anyway, there's many different types of witches you could choose from. And the type of witch that Elena chose was like that swamp kind of like woods witch. She says that in the confessional. That is the type of witch she chose.
That's not the kind of witch I got.
And that's where I'm kind of going with it. I feel like with witch looks, you can have so much fun with accessorizing and really, have a ring on every finger and like a billion different necklaces.
Here we go. We're going to talk about Elena's fingers again, aren't we?
I just wish it was a little amped up to really like read Witch That Lives in the Woods to give me that whimsy that she was trying to go for. But anyway, as I'm trying to say is that the accessories were just not giving me fully Woods Witch, which is what she's trying to go.
There were no accessories.
And that's what I'm saying. If it were accessorized more, I think it could have really benefited the look overall.
I also I liked the concept of the hat with the thing over it. I just wish it was like lace or more sheer. Because it just kind of looked like a black towel. It was really heavy looking and it shadowed her face, and you missed a lot of the face in the first half of that.
Yeah, and her makeup was cool this episode. If this like eye cover was tied to like a pointy witch's hat, or was just a pointy witch's hat in general?
No, I think the pointy witch's hat is so cliche. I appreciate the not pointy witch hat.
But then the problem is that we're just getting a different kind of hat that I don't associate with the witch personally.
Well, you're just closed-minded.
I guess so, but I don't know. It's like for some of the costuming to be costume, and
I get what you're saying. For you to go for a witch look that is not a conventional witch look, it has to be all the way, and we were missing all the way.
Let's get into the performance. I think we've talked about the look.
So I don't think it was sinister. I wish she would have come out and did like some Evanescence or something really dark. This song was almost kind of kooky and goofy, but then we get into the little end of the number with the gag of the cauldron bubbling over, and
that was
like this wasn't like fourth grade science fair volcano, like, because I thought this bitch was gonna do baking soda and vinegar, and it was gonna kind of just whatever she put in there literally like fully took over the whole stage. It was pretty epic. So
listen, and we did kind of like drag Elena a bit there about the look and the song choice, but the performance it was good. It was solid. Good. Her lip syncing was good. She had a lot of props, and when you have so many props, it can tend to be, not fully successful. But I thought this number was successful, and that gag with the cauldron bubbling the way that it did was phenomenal.
The one thing that took me out of that though was the lac side table from IKEA that the cauldron was on.
That is so unfair. We're gonna cut that out.
I'm not cutting that out.
That was so stupid.
The IKEA side table, that's not giving witch. That's not sinister.
That was the dumbest thing to nitpick on. Anyway, Elena, I do apologize that we went in a little harsh there, but the number was good. I just wish it would have, some things could have been changed to fully.
I'm sure she knows that. I'm sure in retrospect she's watching it like, damn.
Because I know watching my numbers in retrospect, I'm like, God, I was such an idiot. I should have done this. But moving on, we have the artiste themselves, Yayah.
Hey.
The edit to the intro of your performance was so cool. The way that they kind of have that like glitchy VHS effect on it, which is very fitting for Samara from The Ring.
Yes,
And then we have like this kind of, I love the mix that you do, because obviously the song goes into Hair by Alaska, but before that
This Is My Hair.
Oh, This Is My Hair by Alaska, Thunderfuck. But before the song starts, there's just like sound effects to set the mood. And that's how you really do this challenge, is by setting the mood from the get-go that this is going to be dark, and you coming out on all fours, looking all like
sinister,
looking all like frayed and shit. I thought,
what?
Frayed. Your joints were all like all over the place.
They're really like that though. I have bad joints.
It was a good intro, and then obviously the number was very funny to do. This Is My Hair.
I was a little bummed because some of my funniest moments were playing to the camera that wasn't working. So there was a lot that you actually couldn't see, but I definitely do plan on doing this number 1,000,000 times through the month of October. So y'all will get the full illusion at some point. Come to my shows.
I mean, we've already said it, but the Queen of Nuance truly hath returned in this number. You're hitting all these like little beats and doing all these stupid faces.
It's true.
And just imagining Samara from The Ring doing it is making me, it had me chuckling. The hair whipping was so good. I don't think I've ever seen Yayah like actually hair whip in the club. So to see you like hair whip for this was so fun.
I had to give it to him. No, this was really fun. I love doing this number. It never gets old. I had that wig. I probably put 30 bobby pins in that and glued it 360. I literally couldn't get the wig off.
She used Gorilla Glue, actually.
Oh, don't joke about that.
Well, I mean, the number was pretty good. It was fun. It was everything.
Yeah.
When we get into the critiques from the judges, I love the opening shot where Katana's just like sitting there with her arms crossed. And it's like, I have nothing to say. There are no notes for me to take. It was all fine. You know what? I will give the shout out to Mercury this episode though, because she really like tried to find something to critique everyone on, which I loved. Yeah. And I agree with her critique on this episode. She says, Yayah, I love what you did. It was all great, but your look was not dirty enough.
I 100% agree.
Especially when we're watching it on film, because the lights obviously wash out a lot. Mm-hmm. And then what gets recorded is...
I should have went more ham with the...
with just the dirt, the black.
The dirt, the black.
I wish there were more leaves in your hair too. Well, maybe not.
I mean, there were a lot of leaves in my hair.
But I couldn't see it. I could only see the one that you plucked out in the performance.
There were more.
Maybe more leaves wasn't the solution. But I agree. The look could have definitely been dirtied up more. Was the nightie that you were wearing, was it actually wet on stage or no?
Yes.
It was?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got wet in the bathroom before the number.
Wow.
And I
didn't know that.
I think it was Becca took me outside and let me like just roll around in the dirt for a second. But yeah, it didn't really read super dirty on stage. Mercury also does a Samara number and it's a lot dirtier. So props to you, Mercury. Moving into Brenda, I really liked this number. I did.
Mm-hmm. It was one of her better performances.
Yeah, this bitch is keeping Kim Petras fed.
Truly.
Which I can appreciate.
Well, she's probably keeping YouTube to MP3 fed.
Oh. Sorry, Kim Petras.
Oh my God.
No royalties for you. So
this one's
it was a good number.
It's a tough one.
For me, I think this would have done better as Brenda's My Story challenge.
And we'll get into that when we get into the critiques, because she does kind of say that that's what she was.
It was her story. She was telling her story. It was her dark side. And
I can appreciate her saying like, yeah, exactly like what you just said. This is her dark side. And the day that she filmed this, she wasn't with during the whole production, she wasn't with the rest of the cast necessarily. So she wasn't seeing what everyone else was doing.
Yeah, but we all had the same criteria.
We all had the same criteria.
Here's the problem. And we've addressed this for different performers and different performances throughout the show. Anytime someone takes a challenge and reinterprets it, they're in the bottom.
It's a harsh reality.
If there's a season 3 and the contestants for season 3 are listening to this,
don't get too smart with it.
Don't get too smart. Follow the criteria.
And Helen did tell us that at the beginning before we
gave us so many disclaimers about that in the group chat before we filmed on the first day of filming. It was all about the criteria because that's the only way they can judge this.
The critiques had me scared for Brenda because it starts with Helen. It's straight up saying, you did not do the challenge. You did not meet our challenge. That had me...
Do you want to say it one more time?
She said it twice. If you watch the show, Tamar. But yeah, that had me nervous because I don't think Helen has ever said that. Helen was cracking down this episode actually with the critiques.
Yeah.
She got Arya together.
When she said to Arya,
she's like,
we'll see how you fare.
Oh my God, she did. She basically said, learn your words.
I was like, oh.
And then after Brenda Ova, we go into Rosalia Valentine. What was your first impression of watching this episode? My number in this episode.
I told you this before we filmed. I told you this while we were filming and after we filmed. I wish there had been some active bleeding during the number. I think on a technical level, you coming out already covered in the blood was probably the smartest way to go. But had you had like a blood packet in your mouth or... And I know Carrie didn't like bleed out of her mouth.
But still, it gives the illusion
but we got to
like,
do something.
Yeah.
I wish there had been some motion in the number.
I agree.
Because you came out and it was very like Carrie after the prom.
Yeah.
And
well,
so I felt like the performance didn't get a chance to go anywhere. I mean, you took it someplace with the lip sync, which is what you needed to do. And I'm glad you did it. But I wish the gag had gone somewhere else as well.
No, and I agree. This was one that was kind of hard to really engineer because getting blood on stage is unfair for the other performers. And I knew that doing this number, I'm like, I don't want to pour blood on myself and make a mess and like, possibly cause cleanup or have someone else have blood on the stage during their number, whatever. I was like, let me just get the blood on me first. But I agree. There could have definitely have been another resource of blood that could have been more controlled during the number to give the blood more life because the blood is just on me as the number starts. And I did choose to do Doll Parts by Hole. Choosing this number was hard when we were setting up for production and we had to send in all of our music. I was having such a hard time picking out what I wanted to do for alternative. And I finally like settled on doing this one just by looking at the album cover for Live Through This by Hole. The connection to Carrie to my childhood, I was like, yeah, why not? Let's do this as Carrie.
I liked the choice of doing Carrie and I liked the song choice, but the song doesn't relate to Carrie, in my opinion. I honestly, and this sounds kind of left field, I would have loved if you had done like Smells Like Teen Spirit or something. If you were going to go like the 90s grunge route musically, I wish lyrically it would have been more tied to the story of Carrie.
The lyrics literally say, someday you will ache like I ache. Carrie gets her revenge on everyone. What are you talking about?
But Carrie is not doll parts. What is that? What does that even mean?
Watching this number back, I was really happy with it. Seeing the other numbers that like came before mine, though, I was like, oh yeah, there's no way I'm gonna win this episode. But I was very happy with the number itself.
You did well.
It was a fun number.
It was committed. You were very much in character the entire time.
If you're following along with all the episodes, this is the 5th episode now with the Rose motif. So will we see more from Rosalia? Maybe. I was surprised with how much of the edit with the judges was included in this episode. It was a long time after I had finished the number, and they left a lot of it in, which I was impressed with because we talked about a lot of stuff that wasn't necessarily about the number. I had a little boohoo moment on stage. You had a little
boohoo moment before you went on too. You couldn't find your crown, and you were being a diva bitch.
I was stressed, girl. I was very stressed.
I wanted to flick you in the nose.
Nobody said you had to help me look for it. Anyway, going back to...
But you made sure we all felt bad.
Well, it was under someone's bag or some shit. I don't know. Anyway, we get into the critique with the judges, and Mercury basically drags it out of me. She's like, why are you about to cry, girl? What's going on? And they haven't shown the newest episode of Beyond the Draglands yet, but... basically backstage before this number, after we had finished episode 4 all fired up, one of the contestants was basically dogging on the qualifications of the judges panel, saying, why are they judging us?
It was Shady B.
Say it. It was Shady B. She was basically saying, like, why do they have those judges judging me? I want some real judges.
Yeah.
And that really struck a nerve with me because these judges, like they've been doing drag just as long as I have, maybe even longer, but they've seen me since the beginning of my career. So they know what I'm capable of and they know what is expected of me.
Well, I think,
and they're friends. So I took that very personally.
I think there was a real lack of perspective as well. I think Shady B is kind of looking at this show as something bigger than it is. And it's very much community driven.
It's a fun project.
It's very local. So, I mean, we only have so many people to pull from. And there's been scenarios where I'm on a judges panel for a competition judging people that I'm now competing against or people that are judging me. You know, in a local setting, there's going to be scenarios where the tables are turned, and I don't care if Helen is judging me in a competition because I'm judging her every day of my life.
Oh my God.
So it's, you know, like the reciprocation it's bound to happen. And, you know, I will also say Shady B kind of came into the scene during the pandemic when a lot of the performers on the scene were
not performing,
taking a step back. Because I even remember the first time I met Shady B was at Badlands, and she was like, "Oh, have you ever performed here?" And it like I laughed because I was like, "Oh yeah, like I've lived at Badlands for the last 5 years." So I think I'm trying to be empathetic to where she was coming from, because to her, what she's seen of the scene is on Into the Draglands season 1, and didn't actually know the scene
prior
deeply enough to understand that the people who competed in season 1
have been
who are judging on season 2 have been doing this forever.
Yeah.
So, you know, just because they competed on season 1
doesn't mean they only have like a year's worth of experience or anything.
Yeah, they're all very experienced. So I no hard feelings to Shady B.
And it's a stressful environment to like do these 3 episodes a day filming days. We were there for a long time, and yeah, we all like were suffering from like that pressure cooker syndrome, which is why I started crying on stage, because I was just like
She's
in my feelings
actress.
about it. Fuck off.
Melissa Joan Hart.
Oh, I do want to know, I wasn't a big fan of my makeup for this challenge. I did like this brown lip, and I was,
you look good.
no, I wish, watching the episode back, I'm like, why did I do this doo-doo brown lip? I wish I would have just done like a red lip or
Shit
something.
from a butt.
Very that. Wasn't happy with my makeup. Love the performance.
Your makeup was fine. Anyway, so who's after you?
We have the sensational Claire Doe. And she did really well for this performance. The thing I'm going to say is, especially coming after my number, is Claire did this like special effects makeup around the mouth and the hands to kind of emulate blood. And she just did it with, I think, like normal makeup. And it didn't really read blood.
So before she went on, all she had done was like red lipstick around her mouth. It looked like she had just ate baby back ribs.
That sounds good.
And I looked at her and I was like, girl, you need to add some depth at least. Like, if you're not going to go in with like stippling like effects blood, at least throw some black in there, get some depth in it. And so we went back in and we did some like black and dark red and brown to kind of like add depth to it, and it just made it look more like barbecue sauce.
Well,
I guess I've learned throughout the season I need to just stop helping people.
You're a sabotaging bitch. Well, I feel bad watching the episode back because we were all there, and I had like a gallon of fake blood, obviously, that I used, and I was like, where was I that I didn't offer Claire blood? And I feel really bad that I didn't, because I don't care. Like, yeah, it's blood. If you're gonna use it, use it.
I loved the song. I think it was quintessential Claire Doe, and I texted her too after the episode, and I just said, you, of everybody in this competition, have such a specific niche vision, and you know who you are as a performer, and when it's right, it's right.
Yeah.
And this was a perfect song choice for Claire, but I feel like the blood was a little bit of an afterthought, and there wasn't a lot of concept going into this. So, and I don't think it was necessarily sinister either. I think she kind of did her cute little 10-year-old girl shtick, but with blood on her mouth.
Well, and that's the thing. I know that Claire was upset with the judges saying, you know, you were giving us a lot of pretty in this number, and Claire wasn't really recognizing why that was when she took this bloody route. And watching this number back, I don't know if Claire was super conscious of it, but she's giving a lot of big smile with teeth, which isn't...
I get the like trying to be like ironically sinister, like being like smiling and creepy, but it just gave smiling.
With how her makeup was, it was
cheerful.
It was giving pretty. Yeah, it was giving cheerful, upbeat, and pretty.
Yeah,
not necessarily sinister. And again, I do feel bad that I didn't just say, "Here, girl, if you need blood, take my blood." Because I truly don't know why I didn't say that.
Because you're a cunt.
No, I don't know what it was.
Because you were literally having a fucking meltdown. Like
whatever.
A big baby.
Claire, I'm sorry I didn't give you some of my blood because I think that would have helped you like have something more to play with, because then you could smear it on your face. You can fuck your face up with blood.
Claire, I'm sorry that I put A1 steak sauce
don't make me apologize when you were the one who did that to her.
Anyways, who's next?
We have
Is it? Let's see.
Yeah, this is the moment that we all knew was coming in the season.
This was heartbreaking, but up until the moment, this number was great.
It was, that made it even worse because.
But I want to talk about the number before we get to that.
Yeah,
I don't want that to be like Leslie's,
of course,
story arc. I thought the number was great. This is one of my favorite Leslie looks.
Signature.
It's so good.
Him from Powerpuff Girls.
It's just a great character to do. So it's not even really a critique because I thought it was hilarious, but one of my favorite parts of the number was Leslie's Buttercup doll, and they only had Buttercup. They didn't have Bubbles, they didn't have Blossom, and they were throwing the Buttercup doll on the floor repeatedly, and I thought that was so funny. Fuck Buttercup.
Should have been Bubbles, honestly.
Oh, I
feel like Blossom
Bubbles.
gets all the hate, maybe.
Blossom.
Nobody likes Blossom, huh?
No, yeah, you're right. Nobody stands Blossom. Everybody, you either stand Bubbles or you stand Buttercup.
Well,
unless you're Leslie.
Well, getting into the look, I mean, this him look is
perfection.
It was a Dracon look, and I remember Leslie telling us that Violet Chachki, like mid photos with the people at Dracon, just like stopped and looked at Leslie and was like, "That's everything."
That's so cool.
And I mean, and it is.
Yeah.
Watching the trailer for this episode too, they like have the first snippet of the performer being Leslie as him, and it was just so
really
cool.
good.
It was so good. The editing this whole episode was
great.
Really good. They did everyone a service.
So then we go into the injury. I don't even want to talk about it just because
they're gonna do a special on it for Beyond the Draglands.
It was hard to watch.
Yeah.
It made me really sad because at this point in the competition, I genuinely thought Leslie was gonna be in the top.
It was
I'm
heartbreaking.
bummed because I wanted to see what Leslie had planned for the next few episodes. It was just an all around like shitty situation.
Yeah.
So I am happy that Leslie is a lot better now.
Yeah.
And back at it. So I'm glad this didn't like fully hinder him moving forward.
It was a hard day for everyone on set, for sure. And like you mentioned, while we were filming the whole show, we weren't watching each other's numbers, so we had no idea how everyone was doing. But watching the season back now, as every episode airs, it's really heartbreaking because Leslie was doing so well this season, and I knew that Leslie would have gone so much farther.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing what they were turning out was so good. And yeah, it was unfortunate the way Leslie had to go out, but what they presented this season was perfection. And
yeah. And if there is a season 3, Helen, you better get Leslie's ass on season 3.
But yeah, also like I mentioned, they're going to be doing a special Beyond the Draglands where they'll be going into more detail about the injury and everything since. So it's not really our place to talk about it. And I would love to hear Leslie's perspective on it because I know they took a lot of good stuff out of this competition. And I personally love getting to have the opportunity to work with Leslie again and see them just come out and do what they do best. It was such a treat for us.
Yep. Leslie is a local legend.
Buy Leslie's merch if you haven't.
I was just going to say, hop on Leslie's Threadless, buy the merch, go to the shows, King's Night Out at Badlands, check those out.
The Drag King game is being stepped up very well in Sacramento. I'm so glad to see it. So.
We love our kings.
And a large part of that is for Leslie for being one of the OGs. So thank you so much for everything you've done, Leslie.
Absolute pioneer.
Glad
you're feeling better.
That was the last performer of the episode. And we did get the heads up before the episode dropped that this is the episode with a double elimination.
But was it really? I guess it was like technically a double elimination, but I don't want to call Leslie's situation elimination. That was
we'll just say due to
disqualification.
Well,
even that's a little harsh.
Let's just say due to injury, Leslie had to exit the competition.
Yeah. So,
which counts as an elimination for all intents and purposes. This episode that does count as an elimination.
So then we get into the scorecard. First place is me, Yayah,
with 91 points.
After filming, I definitely felt like I had won the challenge.
Yeah, you were on top of the
judges
world.
raved. But then you and Claire were all in my ear saying, no, I think I won the challenge. So then I was like, okay, maybe I didn't win, because Claire and Rose were sitting here telling me, or not Rose, Rosalia were telling me how well they thought they did. So I was like, okay, maybe I don't win. So I didn't get my hopes up, but then I won. So
congratulations. You got your second win. Welcome to the second win club.
All right, and then who's next? You?
Then we know. We have Elena Roberts.
Oh, she was second?
She was in second place with 85 points.
Good for her. The cauldron.
It was a good number.
The cauldron is what did that.
What
it was
I thought,
a solid prop.
What I thought they were going to do in the scorecard when they're showing the photos, instead of showing Elena's photo, I thought they were going to show a photo of the cauldron, because that was the winner of the episode.
I wish they had shown a photo of the lac side table from IKEA.
You're so dumb. It was a good number. It was
great.
Yeah. Definitely deserves top 3.
Yep.
In third place, we have Roselia Valentine with 81 points. I was happy with the number. I think this third place for it is totally fine. I felt very confident, and I knew I was going to be pretty secure with it.
Yeah.
In fourth place, we have Claire Doe with 74 points.
Woohoo.
And like we said, it was a great performance. The look just needed to be edged up more, which was a common critique this whole episode. So, babe, you're gorgeous. Just learn how to be ugly, because I know nobody wants to be ugly, but it's a skill that you need to have for Sinister. And then in fifth place, we have Leslie West with 69 points.
And I'm glad they still scored Leslie.
Yeah.
I actually, injury aside, would have scored this higher. I would have put Leslie in the top 3.
I can see that.
Probably over you. Sorry.
No, I watching my number back, I definitely see where there were areas for improvement.
I would have maybe made you 4th.
I would have been fine with that. Because I knew the number was good, but if I was not in the top 3, I would have been fine with that. Yeah. And I agree. Leslie's number was really good. That we've already mentioned it before, but Leslie's transformations between every number was intense, like having to redo the makeup.
Had me stressed the fuck out.
I know. And so I would agree that Leslie could have scored higher on this if they were remained in the competition. But like you mentioned, I'm glad that they still included Leslie's score. And to the bottom 2, we have Brenda Ova and Arya Gunna, and they still kept the effect of who was going to of having the bottom 2 and who was going to be safe, who was going to be eliminated. And I thought it was going to go either way. Truly, I did not know which way the pendulum was going to swing. Yeah. And so Brenda edges out Arya barely with 62 points. Arya with 60 points.
Yeah.
And since Leslie was one of the eliminations this episode, that means 7th place Arya Gunna was eliminated as well for the double elimination. How do you feel about this elimination?
I don't have any arguments against it. I think it was pretty justified. I think the judges had a hard decision to make, because
this was tough.
Arya and Brenda both really missed the mark in terms of song choice, concepts.
But they missed it in different ways, I feel.
Yeah, totally. And so putting them against each other in their own separate category, because you kind of have to, because they didn't meet the challenge. Arya did an alternative song. So to me, that meets the challenge a little more than doing a pop song, which is what Brenda did. But Brenda had a darker concept. So it's really hard, because if it comes down to song choice and look, Arya Gunna had the advantage. But when it comes to concept and being a little closer to the criteria, it was Brenda. And I think at the end of the day, like we've said, that's what matters. So it makes sense.
Yeah. And this was a tough call to make. I don't know how I would have called it. I would have had a hard time on the judges panel for sure. So I'm not jealous of them at all this episode. I do remember that during filming, after Arya had done their alternative number, they did come backstage rather defeated. They What was that?
Sorry.
I just remember.
I'm not laughing that she was defeated. I'm laughing because I don't think this was her original idea.
Yeah,
And
she told us
she had been steered in a different direction by
a previous contestant.
Yeah.
I just
and so I feel bad for her because that's what happens, you know, when you change your concept in any medium because of what someone else says, it usually just bites you in the ass. Follow your instinct, follow your gut, listen to your artistic intelligence.
And always wipe front to back.
Okay.
That was a Scary Movie reference. I just remember Arya being very upset, and it's like you mentioned, she was just going over like, I should have done my original idea. I know my original idea would have been better, and it's one of those things where it's like,
shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah, you know, you could, in retrospect, you could have done so many things differently.
There's always all-stars, girl.
And Brenda she had her guardian angel working overtime because had Leslie still been in the competition this episode,
it would have been Brenda.
The double elimination would have been Brenda and Arya, which would have been crazy because we're getting so down to the nitty gritty where everybody who goes home now is just like, damn, another good
we were
performer.
just talking too. Now moving forward, if you're not in the top, you're in the bottom.
Yep, with 5 performers left in the competition, top 3 and bottom 2.
Sucks to suck.
And then it would be what? After this, it would be top 3 and a eliminated person. So you have to be in the top 3 or you are going home.
Oh my God. I didn't even think about that. Third place is going to be top 3 and bottom 2.
Scary. So we only have a few episodes left. 5 performers remain.
So anyways, thanks to our sponsor, Dr. Dennis Gross.
You, our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in.
All 6 of you, thank you.
I feel like we'll have 12 on this one.
Ooh. WERRRK.com and Chiffon Dior. And the cast, crew, and judges panel for Into the Draglands Season 2. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Out of the Draglands. Out of the Draglands.